Welcome to Unsigned 518. I'm here with Josh Casano. How's it going, man?
That's going well. How are you?
It is going very well. And, we talked a little bit before we got rolling, kind of like how this is going to go and how it's really just like fucking shooting from the hip, like no planning, just like kind of a conversation. And I just kind of want to know like your relationship with music and like how it got started. And I guess that'll just get the conversation rolling and we'll go from there.
Sure. My parents were really into music. My father, especially, my father had a huge record collection. A lot of it was like a lot of big band stuff, but he had a huge collection of like Beatles, like pre-Sgt. Pepper. Loved all the early stuff, right? Rubber Soul, This is the Beatles, and things like that. And then Jim Croce, James Taylor kind of got me into it, and he played guitar as well. So growing up, there was a piano, a guitar, a banjo, a mandolin. There's always stuff available to grab.
Right.
So once I got a little older, I was allowed to kind of touch that stuff and get my hands on it, and it was awesome. It was a great escape from, being in school, growing up in Amsterdam and going to middle school and high school, and nobody wants to go to middle school or high school. Right. So playing guitar was a lot more fun.
It is. And was guitar like, you said like, Beatles, obviously Beatles very guitar driven, especially the early like pop stuff, but like, Croce and James Taylor. So while there was like, piano and guitar, was guitar always the focus, or did you dip into piano as well, just because that's such an accessible instrument?
My father, as much as I fought it as a kid, and looking back, it was stupid, but my father insisted that we learn to play piano because it would be the best way to approach every other instrument. And I was like 6. I was like, you don't know anything. I'm not doing this.
Right.
And so I fought it. But then fourth grade came around, and people are like, what do you want to play? And I said, I want to play drums. So the next day I came home and there was a trumpet on my bed, and I was like, what's that? And my dad was like, it's a trumpet. And I was like, okay.
Was that another part of the puzzle to like learn?
It was. And I came to love it. I played it in band in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I played trumpet all the way through. I did jazz band and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I really came to love it. And that was, another point where I probably should have been like, oh, my parents were right about this one, but I still thought it. Right. Thinking about it now, like almost 50, I'm like, oh yeah. And my sister played saxophone, and my sister was a hell of a sight reader. We both took piano lessons. She's just a couple years older than I am. And I always had to work at it. It was hard, but it came so easy to her, and it wasn't like a passion. It was just like, she enjoyed it, and it was good focus, and she was super talented, but, yeah, so music was always in the house. Mom loved to listen to music, and liked to sing in the kitchen when she was cooking and stuff. And I used to hang out with her, and she was a little more like, Mom loved like Sam Cooke, Motown, and like some Muscle Shoals and stuff. But then she liked country, and then so for me that was like early Garth Brooks, Kathy Mateo, things like that, like 18 Wheels and A Dozen Roses kind of stuff. Like, so it was everywhere. It was bound to stay with me. So
right. And like playing piano, like, and you said trumpet, which made me like kind of jealous, because I also played drums when I was younger, and my introduction to any instrument was like an organ that my grandmother played, and I could play that because when we would go see my grandmother, like, you can put headphones on when you're playing an organ. So like they would literally just be like, yeah, go ahead, like sit there quietly as far as we're concerned and play with this organ for hours while we hang out and do adult stuff, because it wasn't bothering me. But like I wanted to play trumpet or saxophone, but I had asthma and I couldn't, so it was like I played drums, I wasn't resistant to it, but it wasn't my first choice, which a lot of people, even young, a lot of young boys are like, drums, want to bang on things, and I was like, okay, and like, I'm glad I did, because it helped, form a foundation. But I really wish that I had the fucking lung power to play a trumpet. And currently in our punk band, I don't know if you knew, but we have a trumpet player. Like, Abby plays trumpet full time. Like, I love the goddamn trumpet, and I could never play it.
Horns are so much fun. They add so much.
So much to anything. They not only add so much to anything, but they're in a lot of stuff that you don't even think about. And the same with piano. Like, there's almost no genre of music where a piano or horns will not fit in.
Yeah.
You know, it like doesn't exist. Like, and if you do it subtly enough or brash enough or whatever, it'll fit it. It'll fit anywhere. You know? So I love that shit. All right. So you've got some piano bass. You've obviously, playing trumpet, and, playing trumpet. How does that directly translate to guitar? Like, cause I know is the tuning different or scales different? Like, how do they, I know you can directly translate from a piano to a guitar, but how does it work? Like trumpet wise?
I mean, so trumpet was B flat. Guitar can be in whatever we decide we want to tune them to. I tune in standard E or E flat just because whatever fits my voice. But it was helpful in really understanding like melodies and how to, when you really kind of sit down and want to write your own stuff, how do you want your vocal line to go? Well, how are some of the parts that we played in symphonic band or concert band, like those trumpet one parts have the melody in certain sections? How did those work against everybody else? And, learning with a guitar, which I really did later on in life. Like, I didn't really get a serious education until I was in my 30s. But, you're writing parts for bass, you're writing parts for upper register instruments within your 6 strings and 20 frets, So gives you an idea of that experience helps you when you try to fit, all right, how am I going to make that all sound the same and put it on here?
And so for you, when did the switch happen where you were like, kind of like, all right, I'm putting the trumpet down and picking up the guitar, and kind of, when did that, or do you still play trumpet?
I haven't played it in a while.
Okay.
When my oldest was born in 2015, I'd say when she was like 1.5, 2, I brought it out and she would walk around and just hold it and blow on it and get tone out of it. And so I started picking it up again and, brought it to work a couple times and ran scales and stuff, but I haven't played it since.
Right. So when was the switch to guitar?
Yeah. So probably when I got out of high school, I didn't really join a lot of ensembles after that. My path kind of diverged crazy into what happens after high school. I don't know. So it really was more focused on guitar. I got my own first guitar. I think my senior year of high school. My dad got me an acoustic guitar, and that was it. I just played that thing constantly. I sit next to the radio, put on my favorite CDs, and play along and figure it out. But I was still working in kitchens and stuff at that point.
Right. And when did like singing come into it? Because I know like a lot of people, like, the singing can sometimes come from just like the fact that you don't have anybody to sing for you. Because some people are like, I just want to play guitar, but it needs some vocals and I don't have anybody to do it. So that's what, like me, when I say some people, I mean me fucking in particular. Like, I just wanted to play guitar, but I needed somebody, it made more sense to have somebody singing. So I just did it because no one else is there. And now I've kind of stepped way back and now I'm on just guitar duty with less singing. But, that's where I'm happiest. But were you someone that always wanted to sing, or was it like a, hey, I need to do this? Yeah?
I mean, I always sang along with music, whether it sounded good or not. And I know my family can attest to that on long car rides when I was little. But as I got older, my ear started to develop and I realized that I could sing in tune. And so I really started sitting down and noticing the break of like 2000, realizing that I'm watching people do these solo acts. I'm like, I can do that. Right. So I'd sit home and sing and practice and listen. And I was in a fraternity at that point. And I was like, guys, how's this sound? How's this sound? And I would just sit there and play. And finally got enough courage to start playing. Jay Hayes down at Blue 82 gave me my first real opportunity back then to play. And I walked in. I was like, hey, I just really want to do this. And lucky enough, we grew up we both went to Amsterdam High School, so I was kind of familiar enough to be able to at least ask,
Right.
and say, "Hey, I'd like to do this. You don't even have to pay me. I just really want to see how this goes." And after the first time, he was like, "I'd love you to come back, and we'll make this a thing, and we'll take care of you." And I was like, "Awesome."
And for anybody who's like just starting, like whether you're, you know, a 15-year-old or like, you know, someone in their mid 40s, because I mean, again, I went 20 something years with barely, you know, I mean, I played guitar, but I noodled around in my bedroom. You know, I was in like a couple bands when I was like in my early 20s, and then I mean, a fucking couple decades went by, I didn't do anything. So I mean, I started, you know, redoing music when I was in my late 40s. So like whether you're super young or just deciding to do it at, like, you know, we're relatively close to the same age. Like if you're just deciding to do it now, you still fucking can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you absolutely still can. And that first step every time is ask. Like,
just get yourself out there.
Just go up to some place and say, "Hey, I've been working hard. I can play these songs. Can I come play?" And you know, and I love hearing that. That's how you
go
did
to the
it.
open
Just,
mics. A lot of people knock open mics. I mean, I'm not out a lot. I spend a lot of time with my family.
Sure,
but
sure.
Never knock an open mic. It's always a great place to listen to people, get ideas, and go up and do your thing.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm going to tell you this story, but it's just funny. But it's just funny. Like a really long time ago, back when I lived in Vermont, you know, I was probably 23, maybe 24, and I used to go to open mics with my guitar, and you know, just like do cover songs and whatever. But I went every single week for years to this one place. And one night I was there and I was playing a song, and there was like this guy that had kind of been like a dick all night. And like, you know, some of the people that were there weren't amazing, but they were still doing it.
Yeah.
And you support them.
You encourage
like,
that.
support
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
And like this guy was, you know, clearly like, "Oh man, Jesus Christ, these people." And like, he was like, "It sounds like they're strangling cats." And was like just being drunk and fucking obnoxious. And when I got up there and was playing a song, he said something smarmy to me, and I stopped playing, walked right across the room, and held out my guitar to him, and was like, "You think you can do fucking better?" And he was like,
"Yeah, man."
And I was like, "Then fucking shut up."
Yeah.
And then I like went back up, and I would never do that now, by the way. Like 23-year-old me was much different. You know, it had like probably 8 shots of whiskey in me or whatever. But yeah, but I am with you. Open mics are very important, and do not fucking knock anybody for not being up to a standard.
Yeah, and
because that standard is a sliding scale.
The thing to remember is that people are there to do the same thing. They're going to support you, and we're lucky enough to be in a region where everybody is so supportive. There isn't somebody in this music scene that's going to try to push you down.
Because it's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if someone's trying to knock somebody in the local everybody else, the other 99% of people are going to be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, you know, no, we lift each other up. Like,
and that's and that's one of the things that's I think is hard for people who are just starting out, because like they don't really know everybody. They know their favorite bands, and they love to go out and see people, but what are they going to think when I get up here and do this? You know, and that's a hard obstacle to overcome.
Very hard. And it's also hard. I mean, it's hard enough when you're doing other people's songs. Like in my case, when I was younger, you know, I didn't have my own songs, and I would have never played my own song for people because, like, you know, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. But like when you're doing your own stuff in front of people, it's a different level. You know, so like even if you want to take those baby steps, start with cover songs, start doing open mics at cover songs, then do open mics with your original song. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different micro steps that one can take, you know.
And playing those originals is like a different pukey feeling.
Yeah.
Your stomach just goes, "This one's different, buddy."
Yeah, totally. You're like, "Oh fuck, this one like means something to me." And
like,
if people hate it, it's gonna suck. Like, yeah, that is definitely a different feeling. Well, you know, speaking of songs and guitars and singing and whatnot, you brought along your guitar, so we're gonna hear a song here live, and then you were also gonna play. You know, was it a studio or a live? But
it was a studio track.
Track, full band track. So we'll hear that later. Cool. But right now we're going to hear an acoustic song. So tell me a little bit about what we're going to hear.
Actually, the guitar I learned to play on growing up.
Oh, no way.
My father when he stopped playing, he gave me his guitars. So this is one of his from when I was a little kid. So this is called Home. When I went back, I spent almost 20 years in restaurants and working as a head chef and stuff. So when I decided to go back to school, it was 2011, 2012. So while I was at the College of St. Rose, I played a song for one of my classes, and two of the students in there were in the industry program, and they said, we want to record this. This is cool. We want to use this for one of our projects. Brennan Lennon and Anthony Calchabet. I'll never forget these guys. They're awesome. And then so we got a local player, Kevin Carey, on keys. Kevin Bone was part of Bad Mothers, was going to St. Rose at the time. Sure. And Gabe, an asshole, I can't think of Gabe's fucking last name right now. But it was super chill drummer. Like sat down, listened to the first 3 minutes of the song, and was like, I got it. And then we recorded it, and it was done. And I was like, holy shit. So this is called Home. And a lot of we write music. It's about our experiences. And at the time, most of my experience was adventures that I was having with my wife. So growing and hanging out, and so yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's check out Home live here in the Dazzle Den from Josh Casano, and then we'll be right back.
Time is telling its tale, riding the cloud and I'm pushing a sail. Brought me to you and the sea is blue. I'm so thankful that this life is true. You made me a better man, enough to wander the desert sands. Me to you and the sea is blue. Baby, come on, let's jump in the water now. Take my hand and feel this love rush over you. Let the water set you free. We can do what we want to do. Yes, we'll leap into the sea. Here we are afloat upon the waves, like Prince Caspian, so the song says. Clouds are up in the sky, they hope by the rain for you and I. So take my hand and follow me across the waterway, see hope bound and bright. Sunny days, under starry nights, we play on, whoa. Come on now, come on baby, put your feet in the water, let me hold you just a little bit longer. Sun is high and the tide is low, run through the sand 4 years ago. Swing from the vine and drink some wine and dance to the rhythm and clap the time. Winds provoke the waves at sea, and no match for you and me. Feel this love rush over you. Let the water set you free. We can do what we want to do. Yes, we'll leave into the sea. Come on now, baby, yeah, I know go on. Time is telling its tale, riding the cloud and I'm pushing a sail. Brought me to you and the sea is blue, baby. I'm so thankful that this life is true. You made me a better man, enough to walk down the desert sands. Well, here we are, baby, nowhere to love stand. Jump in the water, let me hold your hand. So come on, baby, out tonight. Swim in the ocean under the moonlight, stars dances, we swim and play. Watch us guide us on our way. Feel this love show you. Let the water set you free. We can do what we want to do. As we'll leave it to the sea. Take me home, baby, baby, take me home. Take me home, and I'll take you home.
All right, that was Home. Josh Casano live here in the Dazzle Den. And, Josh, we were talking a little bit, before we got rolling about how Josh Casano and the fam kind of came together, and how you can go from solo stuff to stuff with the full band and in the studio and all the different, I guess, players who play a role in the music. But tell the folks a little bit about that, because it's interesting, and certainly some names that are well known in the 518 music scene.
Yeah, I'm very, very honored and lucky. So when I had graduated from St. Rose, I had my degree in music education, so I was trying to get a job, and I was working in Albany as a building sub and doing stuff. And then when I got my job in Schenectady in 2016, I met Mike Lawrence. He was actually my mentor as a new teacher, and he is one of the middle school orchestra teachers and a bass player. He's one of the top jazz guys in the area, and he does a ton of gigs with Dave Gleason, who's also a member of the fam, who I met when I moved from the middle school to the high school in Schenectady. And he wound up becoming one of my really good friends and kind of another mentor, kind of almost took me under his wing for the first couple of years, got me settled in, and helped me every time I got kind of anxious and was starting to flip out. And Dave's so calm, and he thinks everything through, and would always get me back down to level headed. And also, jazz pianist and a keyboard player. And I always had, when I had written some songs over COVID, I really had them in mind because I love the way they do things, and they can change what they're doing for almost anything. And rather than say, hey, I want you to play these notes, it was nice to say, look, I'd love to have you on this album, and I want you to be able to do what you do to this song. Right. And I want to hear it. I don't want you to hold back. I love, just do it. So, Mike Lawrence played bass on a few things. Dave Gleason's played keys on a lot of stuff, and we've worked together on writing some music. And and then being lucky enough to have gone to school with people like Brian Chipinelli, Beach House from the region, he's an incredible drummer. So I had him play drums on something, and then he kind of came in for, we had our first gig on Friday night, really. With all the music that we've done, finally booked something together and all had dates that aligned. So it was nice to have him. And then the fam kind of includes my brother-in-laws, Alan and Victor, who have both contributed to things in the albums and stuff, music.
So it's musical fam and actual fam.
Yeah.
Thrown in
Absolutely,
there.
Yeah. And I'm lucky enough to have met so many people along the way, because Mike Thomas has played on it, and Matt Bruno, who has been one of my friends for a long time, was able to play mandolin on something and I like the collaboration feel. I like bringing in people who add their own thing and aren't afraid to.
Yeah, and that's something that I, when you were just saying that, in the back of my head, I'm I really dig that, because a lot of the times, and not even a lot of the times, I don't want to say that because it sounds dickish, but sometimes, when people are doing solo projects, their own music, and they're bringing it out and bringing in other people to play on it, there's gonna be that feeling of no, this is my shit, and I need you to do it exactly like this, or and I love that you're no, whatever you're bringing is what I want,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just I trust you to do what you do, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. And that's, I feel if I was, because I'm not much of a songwriter, but I feel if I was, that's how I would be with anyone playing on it. I'd be no. I chose you because you fucking rock. And I trust what you're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really cool to hear. I like that.
Yeah, it makes for some cool sounds too, man. It's a lot more. It's fun.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, playing with other people is, fun, and especially someone who spent a lot of time. I mean, even though the band's been going for 4 or 5 years now, like I've still spent way more time playing alone in my bedroom or something or my living room than I have with anybody else. So it's still always special to be able to get with people and play with people because it's a different thing. Especially with people of that caliber.
And it's been such a long time too. I mean, so Rooted Philosophy was me, Derek Borscht, and Matt Bruno, and I played drums and sang. Derek played bass and Matt played guitar, and every once in a while I would switch instruments for a couple songs and stuff. But that was like for a year in 2001 maybe, and we did some house parties and stuff. But I haven't really played in a band since then.
Right.
So
this is probably about the same. Your timeline is very like similar to mine. Like because when I say like I was in bands when I was younger, I was in bands that played fucking house parties. Yeah. Like that. Yep. Practice at a buddy's house, like. And that's still like those are still some great memories of just being able to, to play with other people. And when something comes together, you're like, God damn. That's...
And then like people crammed in, everybody's hammered, like those basement parties or the attic in somebody's apartment. Like,
oh yeah,
those were a lot of fun.
Those were a lot of fun. Yeah. And then I had a 2 decade break of just like, playing tunes on an acoustic guitar when no one could hear.
Yep.
But it's fun. It's fun. That's why I love the local scene, is that you can just step in at any point. You don't see it as much. I guess you could, but on a national level, like it's going to be a rarity that all of a sudden you're like, oh hey, here's a 54-year-old dude that just like came out of nowhere and is now a rock star. Like it's not gonna. I mean, it could happen. But it's not gonna.
It's just far between,
But in the local scene, you could be like, "Hey, here's this 54-year-old dude that fucking rocks. Like, let's show up for him and support him." And like, it's a special thing. So I think we want to hear another song before we go, and we're gonna hear like something like full band, everything.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna hear now?
This is You Said Hi. This is when we recorded over COVID. Actually, so. My brother-in-law, Victor, was cleaning out an old venue and found a computer and gave it to me and finally had Logic on it.
Oh,
I was like, oh,
sick.
I don't have to use GarageBand. This is great. Awesome. So I started recording everything I possibly could. And so this came out, and he had worked on kind of helping mix and master this. Victor did. And then so Mike Lawrence plays bass. Dave Gleason plays keys and organ on it, and Brian Chipinelli plays drums on it. So it's kind of like the first thing I really recorded and got done for the first start of the fam, and then now we all got back together and played live. So this is a cool song.
And it's called You Said Hi?
You Said Hi.
You Said Hi. All right. Well, let's check out You Said Hi, Josh Casano and the fam, and then we'll be right back to wrap it up.
Woohoo.
Just the other day, you said hi, made you dance. one day to find it all. And our backs to stand so tall. It was then that I knew I could let you go. Well, this old anchor never to let go.
That was You Said Hi, Josh Casano and the fam. And Josh, I want to thank you so much for coming out and doing this. It was really cool. You brought me gifts, which is amazing. that I really appreciate. But it was a cool conversation. And before we go, I just want to give you the chance to say what I refer to as your gratitude. So microphone is all yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. This
You're
is
welcome.
Awesome. This is a big moment for me. So I'm super excited. I want to say thank you to my wife, Sarah, has been so supportive, even with our kids, even when they were super young and babies. It wasn't always easy, and she's always supported me and understands what this means to me. So that definitely would not be where I am without her support. My parents and my sister for their support, and then anybody I've had the chance to work with, especially Mike and Dave, who've been there every step of the way, Brian, anybody who's played on the albums, and to a lot of the venues that really kind of helped me get started, like Blue 82 and On Tap, the random places, and Blaze was always helping out, and J Street Pub and Mitch, and I don't want to single anybody out, but like, and Bobby Beller, just the people who kept contacting me over and over and please come back, and thank you to everybody.
All right, cool. So he is Josh Casano. I am Andy Scullin. This is Unsigned518, and I'll see you on the road. Unsigned518 is produced and hosted by me, Andy Scullin. New episodes are available every week wherever you stream podcasts. If you would like to help support the show, please like and subscribe wherever you are listening, or you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/unsigned518. If you would like to advertise on the show, send me an email at unsigned518@gmail.com. And to be a guest on the show, reach out to me through Instagram at unsigned518. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next week.